The great council chamber had never been so quiet. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy sat in their floating chairs, their different forms casting strange shadows under the bright lights. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own inner light. But today, they all shared the same feeling. Fear. Ambassador Zeth walked slowly to the center of the massive room. His blue skin looked pale, and his forearms shook slightly as he held the datapad. Everyone knew what news he brought. The Devourers had struck again. Council members, Zeth began, his voice barely above a whisper. I bring word from the outer rim. The Kaleth system is gone. A wave of gasps and frightened sounds filled the chamber. The Kaleth system had been home to 12 billion beings just 3 days ago. Now it was nothing but empty space and floating rocks. That makes 7 systems. In 2 months, said Council Leader Mira. Her crystal body flickered with nervous energy. At this rate, they will reach the core worlds before the year ends. The Devourers were not alive, but they were not truly dead either. They were machines, but machines with a terrible hunger. They ate everything. Planets, moons, space stations, ships, and all the living things on them. Then they used what they ate to build more of themselves. They had been sleeping for 1,000 years, but now they were awake and very hungry. Dr. Kale stood up from his chair near the back. He was one of the few beings in the galaxy who studied dangerous species. His job was to learn about creatures that could kill, and he had seen many terrible things, but nothing scared him like the files he carried today. We have tried everything, Kale said as he walked forward. Our best weapons barely scratch their ships. Our strongest shields last only minutes against their attacks. They learn from every battle and become stronger. Then what do you suggest? Asked General Vex, the military leader of the Council forces. His 6 eyes burned with anger. Do we simply wait to die? Kyle reached the center of the chamber and placed a small device on the floor. It projected a blue image into the air above. The image showed a small yellow star with several planets around it. One of the planets was blue and green. There is one option, Kale said quietly. But it terrifies me more than the Devourers do. The council members leaned forward in their chairs. Even Mira's crystal form stopped flickering as she focused on the scientist. This is the Sol system, Kyle continued, pointing at the image. The 3rd planet is called Earth. It is home to a species we have been watching for 50 years. They call themselves humans. Humans? Zeth frowned. Are they not the species we marked as too dangerous for contact? Yes. Kale nodded sadly. They are the most violent species we have ever found. In their short history, they have fought over 30,000 wars. They have created weapons that could destroy their own planet many times over. They turn everything into a weapon. Their music, their food, their medicine, even their children's toys can become instruments of death in their hands. The chamber erupted in worried voices. Many council members remembered the reports about humans. They were the species that had learned to split atoms and immediately used that knowledge to build bombs. They were the species that created healing drugs and then learned to make them into poisons. They were the species that could not look at any object without asking how it could be used to kill. You cannot be serious, said Ambassador Irin, her tentacles writhing with disgust. They would be as dangerous to us as the Devourers. Perhaps, Kyle admitted. But consider this. The Devourers are perfect killing machines. They were built by an ancient race to be the ultimate weapon. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bought, cannot be scared. They exist only to consume and grow stronger. He paused and looked around the chamber at all the frightened faces. But humans, he continued. Humans are something the builders of the Devourers never planned for. Humans are chaos given form. They do not follow rules. They do not accept that something cannot be done. When faced with an impossible situation, they do not surrender. They become more dangerous. What makes you think they would help us? Asked Mira. Why would they risk themselves for strangers? Kale smiled, but it was not a happy smile, because humans have one trait that might save us all. They cannot stand bullies. In their history, whenever a powerful force tried to destroy the weak, humans fought back, even when they had no chance of winning, even when it meant their own death. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone was thinking about what Kale had said. The humans were dangerous, yes, but they were also the only species that might be crazy enough to fight the Devourers. There is something else, Kale added. The humans have been preparing for war their entire existence. Every human learns to fight as a child. Their greatest stories are about warriors who died protecting others. Their whole culture is built around the idea that some things are worth dying for. General Vex stood up, his massive form towering over the others. If we contact them, we might be trading one destroyer for another. What if they decide we are their enemies? Then we die, Kyle said simply. But at least we die fighting, instead of being eaten by machines. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some council members wanted to try building bigger weapons. Others suggested hiding in distant galaxies until the Devourers moved on. A few even proposed surrendering and hoping the machines would be merciful. But as the day wore on, the truth became clear. The Devourers were too strong, too smart, and too hungry. Traditional warfare had failed. Hiding was impossible. Surrender meant extinction. Finally, Mira called for silence. Her crystal form had dimmed to almost nothing, showing how scared she was. "Dr. Kale," she said slowly, "you truly believe these humans might save us?" "I believe they are our only hope," he replied. "They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. If anyone can find a way to kill machines that were built to be unkillable, it would be them." The vote was close. Nearly half the council voted against contact. They were too scared of what might happen if humans entered galactic society. But, in the end, fear of the Devourers won. "Very well," Mira announced. "We will contact the humans. May the stars forgive us for what we are about to unleash." As the council members filed out of the chamber, many of them wondered if they had just saved the galaxy or doomed it. They were about to find out what happened when you asked the most dangerous species in the universe for help. The decision was made. Soon, for the first time in their history, humans would learn they were not alone, and the galaxy would learn why being human meant never giving up, no matter how hopeless things seemed. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the impossible happened. He had been standing on the bridge of the UES Defiance, looking out at the stars like he did every morning, when the space around Earth suddenly filled with ships. They were not human ships. "Captain," called Lieutenant Ben Carter from his station, his voice shaking with excitement and fear. "We have multiple contacts. Unknown design. They just appeared out of nowhere." Jake set down his coffee cup and walked to the center of the bridge. Through the large windows, he could see dozens of strange vessels. Some looked like floating crystals. Others were shaped like sea creatures from Earth's oceans. One massive ship seemed to be made of living metal that moved and flowed like water. "Any hostile actions?" Jake asked, keeping his voice calm even though his heart was racing. "No, sir," reported Communications Officer Linda Hayes. "They are not targeting us. In fact, they seem to be trying to send us a message." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life, and then came words in perfect English, though the voice sounded strange and mechanical. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Council. We represent over 400 species across this galaxy. We come in peace, seeking your aid against a threat to all life." The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at Jake, waiting for orders. He had trained for many situations, but first contact with aliens had never been covered in military school. "Send a response," Jake said finally. "Tell them we are listening." Within hours, every government on Earth was in emergency session. The president of the United Earth Government, Maria Santos, called together the best military minds on the planet. General Lisa Hayes, known for winning the resource wars, was put in charge of the human response team. Dr. Ryan Clark, the scientist, who had figured out faster than light travel, would handle the technical side. Commander Alex Rodriguez, the youngest fleet commander in Earth's history, would provide tactical support. The meeting was set to take place on the alien flagship. As the human shuttle approached the massive vessel, The three leaders studied everything they could see. Lisa counted weapon ports, Ryan analyzed the ship's construction, and Alex mapped possible escape routes. It was what humans did automatically. They looked for ways to fight, ways to win, and ways to survive. The alien ship was huge beyond imagination. It was larger than any city on Earth, and it hummed with power that made the humans' most advanced technology look like stone tools. But the humans did not feel small or weak. Instead, they felt curious and ready. Ambassador Zeth met them at the docking bay. He was tall and blue, with 4 arms and eyes that seemed too large for his face. Behind him stood other aliens. A crystal being that glowed with inner light, a creature that looked like a walking tree, and something that seemed to be made of living shadow. "Welcome aboard," Zeth said, his words coming through a translation device. "I am Ambassador Zeth, of the Vortanian Empire. Thank you for coming." Lisa stepped forward. She was a small woman, but she moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "I am General Lisa Hayes, representing Earth's military forces. This is Dr. Ryan Clark, and Commander Alex Rodriguez. Before we talk about helping you, we need to know what we are dealing with." Zeth nodded and led them through corridors that seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways. The humans noticed everything: guard positions, security cameras, the way the aliens moved. They were gathering intelligence without even thinking about it. The meeting room was enormous, with a table that could seat 50 beings. But only a few aliens were present. Zeth introduced them as Dr. Kale, the scientist who had recommended contacting humans, Council Leader Mira, and General Vex, the military commander. "Your species has a reputation," Zeth began carefully. "We have studied your history, your wars, your weapons, your methods of solving problems through violence. You know we are good at killing things," Lisa said bluntly. "Let us skip the polite talk. You would not be here if you were not desperate. What is threatening you that is worse than we are?" Dr. Kale activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked systems that had been destroyed. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Something was eating its way through space, growing stronger with each world it consumed. "The Devourers," Kale explained. "Ancient machines built by a race that died out long ago. They consume everything: planets, ships, people. Then they use what they eat to build more of themselves." The humans watched the display with intense focus. Ryan leaned forward, studying the technical data. Alex was calculating speeds and patterns. Lisa watched with the cold attention of a predator studying prey. "How do they fight?" Alex asked. "They adapt," General Vex replied, his 6 eyes burning with frustration. "Energy weapons make them resistant to energy. Kinetic weapons make their armor stronger. They learn from every attack and become harder to hurt." "Interesting," Ryan said, his scientist mind already working on the problem. "Every system that adapts has limits. What have you tried?" The aliens spent the next hour explaining their battles. With the Devourers, they had tried massive fleets, superweapons, even biological warfare. Nothing worked. The machines just adapted and continued their advance. Lisa listened to everything without saying a word. When the aliens finished their explanation, she looked at her 2 companions. Ryan was taking notes and asking technical questions. Alex was drawing battle formations on a data pad. Both men had the look of people who had found an interesting puzzle to solve. "How long do we have?" Lisa asked. 6 months until they reach the core worlds," Zeth replied. "Maybe 8 if we can slow them down." Lisa smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had found a worthy enemy. "Then we better get started." "You will help us?" Mira asked, her crystal form brightening with hope. "We will do more than help," Lisa said, standing up from her chair. "We will show you why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The aliens looked confused. They had expected the humans to be afraid, or to ask for payment, or to demand guarantees of safety. Instead, the humans seemed almost eager to fight. "You do not understand," Dr. Kale said slowly. "The Devourers have destroyed civilizations that were millions of years old. They have weapons that can crack planets. They are perfect killing machines." "Perfect?" Ryan laughed, and the sound made the aliens nervous. Nothing is perfect. Everything has weaknesses. You just have not found them yet because you think like civilized beings. We think like humans. What does that mean? Zeth asked. Alex looked up from his notes. It means we do not play by rules. It means we do not accept that something cannot be done. It means when you tell us something is impossible to kill, we take that as a personal challenge. Lisa walked to the holographic display and studied the data on the Devourers. You have been fighting them like they are an army, but they are not an army, they are a disease. And humans have always been very good at curing diseases. How? General Vex demanded. By doing things that would never occur to a sane, civilized species, Lisa replied. By turning their strengths into weaknesses. By fighting dirty, fighting smart, and fighting without mercy. She turned to face the assembled aliens. You called us because we are dangerous. You called us because we are violent. You called us because when the universe tells us we cannot win, we laugh and fight anyway. The room fell silent. The aliens stared at the three humans, finally understanding what they had unleashed. We will need access to your technology, Ryan said. Your star maps, your weapons data, everything you know about the Devourers. And we will need command authority over any forces we use, Alex added. Human tactics work best when humans are in charge. And we will need you to understand, Lisa said, her voice soft but dangerous, that when this is over, the galaxy will be different. You are about to see what humans do when someone threatens our home. Because this galaxy is our home now, and humans protect their home. The aliens agreed to everything. They had no choice. The Devourers were coming, and the humans were their only hope. As the meeting ended and the humans prepared to return to Earth, Dr. Kale pulled Ambassador Zeth aside. Have we saved the galaxy? Kale whispered. Or doomed it? Zeth watched the humans board their shuttle. They moved with the confidence of natural predators, discussing battle plans and weapon modifications as if they were planning a picnic. I do not know, Zeth replied, but I am beginning to understand why they quarantined themselves from us. They were not protecting us from them. They were protecting them from us. The shuttle departed, carrying the three humans back to Earth. Behind them, they left a galaxy that was about to learn what happened when you asked the most dangerous species in the universe for help. The war against the Devourers was about to begin, and for the first time in their long history, the ancient machines were going to face an enemy that was even more ruthless than they were. The moon had never seen anything like it before. In just 3 weeks, the humans had built a massive research facility on the lunar surface. Ships from dozens of alien worlds brought their most advanced technology, their greatest scientists, and their best weapons to the growing complex. But what really shocked the aliens was how quickly the humans learned to use everything they were given. Dr. Ryan Clark stood in the main laboratory, surrounded by floating screens showing data that would have taken alien civilizations years to understand. He had absorbed their technology like a sponge absorbs water. But more frightening to his alien colleagues was how he used that knowledge. The problem with all of you, Ryan said to a group of Vortanian scientists, is that you think too much, like the people who built the Devourers. Dr. Kale, who had recommended bringing humans into the war, watched nervously as Ryan manipulated a holographic display. What do you mean? The ancient race that created the Devourers was logical, Ryan explained, his hands moving quickly through the data. They built machines that could adapt to any attack, that could learn from any defeat. They thought like engineers, clean, efficient, predictable. He paused and smiled in a way that made the aliens step back. But they never met humans, Ryan continued. We do not think like engineers. We think like children playing with dangerous toys. We ask questions that should not be asked. We try things that should not be tried. On the screen, Ryan showed his analysis of Devourer technology. Where the aliens saw perfect adaptation systems, Ryan saw exploitable flaws. Where they saw unstoppable learning algorithms, he saw ways to feed the machines false information. Their adaptive armor responds to energy weapons by dispersing heat, Ryan said, pointing to technical diagrams. It responds to kinetic weapons by hardening molecular bonds. Very smart. But what happens when we hit them with something that is neither energy nor kinetic? The alien scientists looked confused. There are only two types of weapons, one of them said. According to alien thinking, yes, Ryan replied. But humans have never been limited by what is supposed to be possible. What if we hit them with weapons that exist in a different dimension? What if we attack them with mathematics itself? What if we use their own adaptation systems to tear them apart from the inside? While Ryan terrified the alien scientists, Commander Alex Rodriguez was doing the same thing to their military leaders. The war room he had set up looked nothing like the formal command centers the aliens were used to. Maps covered every wall, but they were not normal maps. They showed shipping lanes, asteroid fields, nebula formations, and things the aliens had never considered important in warfare. You fight like you are playing a game, Alex told General Vex in a room full of alien fleet commanders. You follow rules. You have formations. You try to minimize casualties. You fight with honor. General Vex's 6 eyes burned with anger. What is wrong with honor? Nothing, Alex replied, if you are fighting other honorable beings. But the Devourers are not honorable. They are not even alive. They are a disease that needs to be cured, and you do not cure a disease by being polite to it. He activated a 3-dimensional display that showed the last major battle against the Devourers. The alien fleets had formed neat lines, fired their weapons in organized volleys, and retreated in good order when the battle turned against them. This is how civilized beings fight, Alex said. Predictable, clean, easy for the Devourers to adapt to because they have seen this pattern 1,000 times before. He changed the display to show his own battle plans. The aliens gasped at what they saw. Ships scattered in random patterns attacking from every direction at once. Some vessels were loaded with weapons, others with electronic warfare equipment, and still others with things the aliens did not recognize. This is how humans fight, Alex continued. Chaos, unpredictability. We hit you with everything at once and then hit you with things you did not know existed. By the time you figure out what we are doing, we are already doing something else. But it was General Lisa Hayes who truly shocked the galactic representatives. She had taken the strongest warriors from every species and was training them in human combat methods. The aliens had come expecting to learn advanced fighting techniques. Instead, they learned to think like predators. Forget everything you know about warfare, Lisa told her mixed species unit during a training session. Forget about rules, forget about honor, forget about fighting fair. Your enemy wants to eat everyone you have ever cared about. Your job is to stop them by any means necessary. She had them practice scenarios that made the alien warriors uncomfortable. Ambush attacks, suicide missions, using enemy weapons against their creators, fighting wounded, fighting outnumbered, fighting when there was no hope of victory. But General Hayes, protested Commander Zoll, a proud warrior from the hegemony, these tactics are dishonorable. What will our people think? Lisa stopped the training and looked at the alien warrior with cold eyes. Your people will think you are alive instead of being digested by machines. Honor is a luxury you can afford when your children are safe. Right now, your children are going to die unless you learn to fight like humans. The most disturbing moment came when the humans revealed their special weapons project. Dr. Ryan had been working with human military engineers to create something he called aggressive nanites. The alien scientists were horrified when they learned what these tiny machines were designed to do. You have created mechanical parasites, Dr. Kale said, his voice shaking with fear and disgust. They are designed to infiltrate and corrupt Devourer systems from within. Exactly, Ryan replied cheerfully. The Devourers consume matter to build more of themselves, so we give them matter that looks normal but carries a virus designed specifically for their systems. But these nanites could be used against organic life forms too, another alien scientist pointed out. Ryan nodded. Of course they could. That is what makes them so effective. The Devourers will not expect an attack from something that could kill us just as easily as it kills them. They think like their creators, logically. They assume we would not build weapons that could destroy us too. But why would you create something so dangerous? Dr. Kale asked. Because humans will risk anything to protect what we love, Ryan answered. We will build weapons that could kill us all if it means saving our families. We will use tools that terrify us if it means our children have a future. The Devourers were built by a logical race that wanted to minimize risk, but humans maximize risk if it gives us even a small chance to win. The psychological warfare division that Lisa had created was equally disturbing to the aliens. They had discovered that the Devourers, despite being machines, had some form of collective consciousness. Lisa planned to use this against them. We are going to drive them insane, she explained to a group of alien communications specialists. We are going to flood their network with human thoughts, human emotions, human creativity. We are going to show them what it means to be alive in a way that will break their mechanical minds. How? Asked one of the specialists. Music, Lisa replied. Art, poetry, the sound of human children laughing, the memory of a perfect sunset, the feeling of falling in love, the rage of a parent protecting their child. We are going to hit them with the full force of human experience. The aliens stared at her in confusion. But they are machines. They will not understand these things. Exactly, Lisa smiled. That is what will destroy them. They were programmed to adapt to weapons, to tactics, to logic, but they were never programmed to handle the beautiful insanity of being human. We are going to show them our souls, and it will burn out their circuits. As the weeks passed, the alien representatives began to understand what they had unleashed. The humans were not just dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because they thought in ways that no sane species would consider. They turned their own weaknesses into weapons. They created tools that could destroy them just to destroy their enemies. They planned to attack ancient machines with poetry and music. They treated warfare not as a necessary evil, but as an art form that they had spent thousands of years perfecting. Ambassador Zeth found Dr. Kale in the observation deck, staring out at Earth through the station windows. Are you having second thoughts? Zeth asked. Every day. Kale replied quietly. We asked them to save us from the Devourers, but I am beginning to think we have simply chosen how we want to die. Below them, Earth turned slowly in space. It looked peaceful from a distance. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. But both aliens knew that on that beautiful world, the most dangerous species in the galaxy was preparing for war. Perhaps, Zeth said thoughtfully, that is what makes them so effective. They scare themselves just as much as they scare their enemies, but they fight anyway. In the laboratories and training facilities, humans worked alongside aliens to prepare for the coming battle. But it was clear who was in charge. The humans had taken the galaxy's most advanced civilizations and turned them into students. They were teaching the universe how to be human. And for the first time since the Devourers had awakened, there was hope. It was a terrible, frightening hope that came with a price no civilization had ever been willing to pay. But it was hope nonetheless. The alarm bells rang throughout Kepler Station as the long-range sensors picked up the approaching fleet. Admiral Jake Morrison, recently promoted to lead the human naval forces, stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display, with calm eyes. The Devourers had arrived earlier than expected, but that was fine. Humans had always worked better under pressure. Report, Jake ordered, as his bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. 347 Devourer vessels detected, called out Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the sensor station. They are moving in standard formation, just like the aliens predicted. Jake smiled. The aliens had been right about many things, but they had been wrong about the most important thing. The Devourers were not unpredictable killing machines. They were very smart, very dangerous, but ultimately predictable machines. And machines could be tricked. Signal the fleet, Jake commanded. All alien vessels are to follow Plan Alpha exactly as we practiced. Human vessels will follow Plan Beta. And remember, we are not here to win a battle today. We are here to teach the galaxy that humans keep their promises. Throughout the combined fleet, Captains from dozens of species prepared their crews for battle. The alien ships formed defensive lines around Kepler Station, just as they had done in every previous engagement with the Devourers. From space, it looked like the same tactics that had failed so many times before. But hidden in the asteroid belt surrounding the system, thousands of small ships waited in complete silence. These were the human ghost fleet that Commander Alex Rodriguez had spent weeks positioning. Each ship carried a different type of weapon, and each crew had orders to attack in seemingly random patterns. The Devourers approached with the confidence of machines that had never truly been defeated. Their massive ships, each one the size of a small city, moved through space like hungry predators. Their black hulls gleamed with the adapted armor that had turned aside every weapon the galaxy could create. "Incoming transmission from the Devourer fleet," reported Communications Officer Tony Miller. "Let us hear what they have to say," Jake replied. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical, speaking in the universal translation language that all species understood. "We are the Devourers. We consume all. Surrender your technology and we will make your deaths quick." Jake activated the fleet-wide communication system. "This is Admiral Morrison of the human fleet. Here is our counteroffer. Go back to sleep, or we will teach you why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The mechanical laughter that came in response chilled the blood of every alien in the fleet. But the humans just smiled and prepared their weapons. The battle began, exactly as every previous engagement had begun. The Devourers opened fire with energy weapons that could crack moons. The alien vessels raised their shields and returned fire, their formations holding steady despite the terrible destruction raining down on them. For the first hour, it seemed like every other battle. The Devourers adapted to each new weapon, their armor growing stronger with every attack. Their advance was slow but steady, and the alien fleet was taking heavy casualties. But Jake was watching his chronometer, waiting for the exact right moment. When the Devourers had committed their main force and moved into the perfect position, he gave the order that changed everything. "All human vessels, execute Morrison Protocol now." From every direction, the Ghost Fleet emerged from hiding, thousands of small ships, each one moving in a different pattern, each one attacking with weapons the Devourers had never seen before. The perfect formation of the Devourer fleet suddenly faced chaos from every possible angle. The first wave of human attacks came from Dr. Ryan Clark's dimensional weapons. These were not energy beams or kinetic projectiles, but attacks that existed in different layers of reality. The Devourer armor, designed to adapt to physical attacks, had no defense against weapons that bypassed physical space entirely. "Direct hits on 17 Devourer vessels," reported Sarah Kim, excitement filling her voice. "Their adaptive systems are not responding, but the humans were just getting started." The second wave came from Alex Rodriguez's electronic warfare ships. These vessels did not fire weapons at all. Instead, they broadcasted false information directly into the Devourer communication networks. The machines, programmed to share tactical data instantly, suddenly found their own systems feeding them lies about human positions, weapon types, and battle plans. The effect was devastating. Devourer ships began firing at empty space, chasing targets that did not exist and trying to adapt to weapons that were not real. Their perfect coordination collapsed into confusion as they struggled to separate truth from deception. The third wave was the most human of all. General Lisa Hayes had convinced the military command to try something that no civilized species would ever consider. Every human ship in the fleet began broadcasting human culture directly into the Devourer networks. The machines found themselves flooded with human music, human poetry, human laughter, and human tears. They experienced the memory of a mother singing her child to sleep, the rage of a soldier defending his home, the joy of lovers meeting after a long separation, and the grief of friends saying goodbye forever. The Devourers, built to process logical data, could not handle the beautiful chaos of human emotion. Their collective consciousness, designed to share tactical information, became overwhelmed with feelings they could not understand or process. "The Devourer fleet is breaking formation," called out Tony Miller in amazement. They are attacking each other. Jake watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The ancient machines, confronted with the alien concept of human emotion, were having what could only be called a nervous breakdown. Some ships stopped moving entirely, their computers locked in loops trying to understand why humans would create art about death. Others began firing randomly, their targeting systems, confused by poetry about love and loss. But Jake was not finished. He activated the fleet communication system one final time. All human vessels, this is Admiral Morrison. We have shown them fear. We have shown them confusion. Now we show them what it means to be human. All ships, initiate final protocol. What happened next shocked even the human crews. Every human ship in the fleet suddenly changed course, accelerating directly toward the largest Devourer vessels. The aliens watched in horror as they realized what was happening. The humans were going to ram their ships into the enemy. Admiral Morrison, came a frantic transmission from Ambassador Zeth. Your crews will die. No, Jake replied calmly as his own ship's engines reached maximum burn. Our crews will win. Throughout the human fleet, captains made the same choice their admiral had made. They pointed their ships at the enemy and accelerated toward certain death. But they did not go quietly. Over the open communication channels, human voices rose in song. They sang old Earth battle hymns, songs about dying for freedom, songs about protecting the innocent, and songs about never giving up no matter how dark things became. The sound of 3,000 human voices singing in harmony as they flew toward their deaths was something the galaxy had never heard before. The collisions were spectacular. Human ships, traveling at incredible speeds, struck Devourer vessels, with the force of small asteroids. The impact sent shockwaves through the enemy formation. But more importantly, it sent a message that echoed across every communication channel in the system. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not retreat. When faced with impossible odds, humans sing and charge straight into the darkness. The Devourer fleet, already confused by the earlier attacks, could not process what they were seeing. These organic beings were deliberately destroying themselves, just to damage the enemy. It made no logical sense. It served no strategic purpose. It was completely insane, and it was completely effective. The combination of dimensional weapons, electronic warfare, psychological attacks, and kamikaze strikes created a cascade failure throughout the Devourer network. Ships that had seemed invincible began to shut down as their computers struggled to understand an enemy that fought with mathematics and poetry and suicide songs. The Devourer fleet is retreating, Sarah Kim announced, her voice filled with disbelief. They are actually running away. Jake nodded as he watched the ancient machines flee from the battlefield. Many human ships had been lost and many brave crews had died, but they had done something no one thought possible. They had made the Devourers afraid. Signal the fleet, Jake ordered. Pursuit formation. We are not letting them escape to regroup. For the first time in galactic history, the Devourers were not hunting. They were being hunted, and their hunters were singing as they gave chase. The Battle of Kepler Station was over. The most dangerous species in the galaxy had kept their word, but as Jake looked at the casualty reports, he knew the real war was just beginning. The Devourers had learned what humans were capable of when truly threatened. Now they would have to learn what humans were like when they were angry. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now. The same floating chairs held the same alien representatives, but the fear that had filled the room months ago was gone. In its place was something new. Respect mixed with worry, gratitude mixed with concern. The galaxy had been saved, but at a cost no one had expected. General Lisa Hayes stood before the assembled council, her uniform showing the wear of dozens of battles. Her left arm was in a healing cast, and a scar ran across her cheek from the final assault on the last Devourer stronghold. Behind her, holographic displays showed the numbers that told the story of the war. The Devourer threat has been eliminated, she reported to the silent chamber. Their main fleet was destroyed at Kepler Station. Their production facilities have been captured or destroyed. The remaining scattered units have been hunted down by combined human and alien forces. The galaxy is safe. Council Leader Mira, Her crystal form, now glowing with relief, spoke first. "And the cost to your people?" Lisa's face showed no emotion as she answered. 60% of our fleet was lost. 28,000 human military personnel died in the fighting. Another 15,000 were wounded. But we accomplished our mission. The numbers hung in the air like a weight. The humans had lost more people in 6 months than some alien species lost in centuries of warfare, but they had also achieved something that had seemed impossible. "How?" asked General Vex, his 6 eyes filled with wonder. "How did you defeat machines that had conquered half the galaxy?" Dr. Ryan Clark, now wearing the uniform of a fleet science officer, stepped forward. "We did not think like them," he said simply. "The Devourers were built by logical minds to be perfect weapons. But humans are not logical. We are creative, crazy, and willing to try things that should not work." He activated a display showing the final battle statistics. Our dimensional weapons worked because we attacked them with physics they had never encountered. Our electronic warfare worked because we lied to them in ways they could not understand. Our psychological attacks worked because we showed them what it means to have a soul. Commander Alex Rodriguez, now bearing the rank of Grand Admiral, added his own perspective. But the real reason we won was simpler than that. The Devourers fought to consume and grow. We fought to protect our home. When you fight for survival, you become capable of anything. Ambassador Zeth, who had witnessed the entire war, spoke with quiet reverence. "We called you the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We were wrong. You are the most dangerous species in the universe. But you are also the most necessary." The aftermath of the war had changed everything. Human military advisors were now stationed on every major world. Human tactics were being taught in alien war colleges. Human technology was being studied and adapted across the galaxy. But the most profound change was in how the galaxy saw itself. The old idea of civilized warfare, of fighting with honor and rules, had died with the Devourers. In its place was the human concept of total war, where survival mattered more than dignity. "What happens now?" asked Dr. Kale, the scientist who had first recommended contacting humans. Lisa looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Some showed gratitude, others showed fear, and a few showed something that might have been understanding. "Now we make sure this never happens again," she said. "The Devourers will not be the last threat the galaxy faces. There will be other enemies, other dangers, other times when extinction seems certain." She paused and her voice grew stronger. "But the galaxy will never again face those threats alone. Humans are part of this community now. We have proven that we can be trusted with the survival of all life. When the next impossible enemy appears, you will not have to wonder if help is coming." Admiral Jake Morrison, who had survived the Battle of Kepler Station, stepped forward. "The human fleet will remain on patrol throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as guardians. We will watch for threats, train your forces, and stand ready to fight when fighting is needed." The vote to accept humanity as full members of the Galactic Council was unanimous. For the first time in their history, the most dangerous species in the galaxy had a voice in galactic government. As the ceremony ended and the representatives began to leave, Ambassador Zeth approached the human delegation. "Do you think the galaxy will ever truly trust humans?" he asked. Lisa smiled, and for the first time it was a warm smile instead of a cold one. "Trust is earned through actions, not words. We have shown that we will die to protect innocent life. We have shown that we will sacrifice everything to stop evil. If that is not enough to earn trust, then trust is not worth having." Dr. Kale joined the conversation. "But humans scare us. Your methods, your willingness to risk everything, your ability to turn anything into a weapon." "Good," Alex replied. "Fear keeps people careful, but respect keeps them safe. The galaxy should fear human methods, but it should also know that those methods will always be used to protect the innocent." As the humans prepared to leave the council chamber, Mira called out to them one final time. "What message should we send to the outer colonies? How do we tell them that the danger is over?" Lisa stopped and looked back at the crystal being who had authorized the desperate gamble of contacting humanity. "Tell them that when the galaxy called for help," humans answered. "Tell them that when extinction seemed certain, humans said no. Tell them that the most dangerous species in the universe is also the most loyal friend they will ever have." The humans left the chamber, but their presence would be felt throughout the galaxy for generations to come. They had answered the call for help, and in doing so, they had changed the very nature of what it meant to be alive among the stars. The galaxy was safe. The humans had kept their word. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other ancient threats might stir and wonder if they were ready to face the species that had made extinction itself surrender.